I didn't even know the brevity of this issue, really, to be honest, until a few weeks ago myself. I sat down with some of the guys and they began to explain to me what was going on. This is where I stand on it.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Welcome, folks, to a special bonus episode of the Valley Labor Report. We are Alabama's only union talk radio show, and politicians suck. You name one, whether they're Republican or Democrat, and I can probably tell you an example of a way that they have screwed over working folks. That's why that we believe that coming together, your sisters and brothers on the job, to make things better for yourself without a politician's permission and without the boss's permission, that's going to be the best way to make your life better, rather than going to the ballot box and and voting for somebody who's ultimately a lot of times not going to have your best interest at heart. But the fact that politicians are able to screw over working folks, the fact that they feel empowered to do so by their wealthy donors means that they still have power. And because it's election season, we wanted to help educate folks about the options that they're going to have here in the primary and in the general election in November. So we're talking to basically anybody running for office that's willing to take the time to talk to us and that we're interested in talking to. Tim James is our guest this week. He is running for governor. He is an entrepreneur and a business leader. Those are a dime a dozen, seems like, today. He is the son of former Governor Fob James. Tim, welcome to the Valley Labor Report. Thanks for talking to me.
Jacob, good Friday. Good Friday. And happy Easter and happy Passover weekend on this holiest of holy weekends.
Yes, sir. Yes, I told you.
Good to be on the show.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to have you. We was talking before we started recording that I'm going to be going to my granddaddy's church on Sunday for the first time in a couple years, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since he's a preacher. Actually, been a while since I've heard him preach, so I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
So. Yeah. We're just going to jump right into it. And I also told you before the show that the coal miners' strike in Alabama has been at the top of our radar. Working folks in Alabama have really been at the center of surging conversation about a renewal of organized labor in the United States. And one of the focal points has been those 1,000 coal miners in Brookwood that are on strike against private equity-owned WarriorMet Coal. When politicians are not simply ignoring the issue like Governor Kay Ivey or reading WarriorMet press releases at Senate hearings like Tommy Tuberville, they're outright restricting their right to speak and assemble like a Robert Bentley-appointed Tuscaloosa County judge has done during the entirety of the strike. What are you going to be doing for these coal miners in Brookwood, whether you're elected or not?
Well, number one, I can tell you when I'm elected, these people going back to work. I think, isn't the holding company BlackRock?
Yes, sir. That's right.
So we're really talking about BlackRock.
Yes, they hold the largest share of WarriorMet. They bought, along with some other D.C. and New York and Australia private equity firms in 2015 when the management took Jim Walters Energy into bankruptcy. Right. Those private equity firms bought them out and retained the same board of directors and CEOs, gave them a raise, while the coal miners took a $6 an hour pay cut, while the coal miners lost their pensions, while the coal miners lost significant sums of their health care, and they aren't getting anything from anybody in Alabama as far as the political class is concerned.
Well, it's worse than that. They're making record profits because of the price of coal. You got 1,000 Alabama workers. Government cannot get in the middle of a conflict, and can't tell anybody what to do. But I can tell you this: I will use my influence. I will not allow state resources, and I understand they're sending troopers up there to bring out-of-staters through the line. and that will not happen. The only way I would ever use troopers is if there was real violence, and there is no violence. And so this is a bullying tactic. Basically, what you got here, Jacob, is you got the governor of Alabama doing the bidding for the big business boys, and they all support her. They're giving her just buku of money, and my heart goes with working class people. And I knew this was a con. I knew that because I've read the data on it. When I heard that one of the demands of the corporate side was that if you have 4 misses, and that includes legitimate sickness, if you get sick and you miss a day, that counts towards a limit of 4. And at that point, you get fired, no matter if all of them were legitimate. I never heard of that. But when I learned that, I knew full well this is a bullying tactic. They're trying to destroy them, trying to break them down. They're bringing out-of-state workers in through the line, helping them go through the line. And I can tell you, this is unacceptable. And as governor, I will step into the discussion. You can't make them, but I tell you one thing: Alabama will not allow its resources, its law enforcement, or anything else to take advantage of Alabama working citizens, let alone coal miners or anybody else.
I really like what I'm hearing from you on that. That's something that why do you think it is that nobody is talking about this? I'm on WVNN, and I'm trying to bang the drums, get these folks like Dale Jackson, Phil Williams, Jeff Poore, all these folks on the radio. They're talking on the radio to the most powerful people in the state of Alabama for hours a day. And they never talk about how is it that this issue has gone totally uncommented on by, the Republican media apparatus and Republican elected officials.
Probably because there's so much material out there from a president forcing mandates on American citizens and that they would lose their job. Swimming, you got a male swimmer taking up all the news because he's winning all the girls' swim meets. You got a war in Eastern Europe. I mean, there's a lot going on around the world, and the important stories do get lost in the news mix, and this is probably one of them.
Right. So have you been on the picket line with them yet?
No, I didn't even know the brevity of this issue, really, to be honest, until a few weeks ago myself. I sat down with some of the guys, and they began to explain to me and what was going on, and that this is where I stand on it.
Yeah, well, that's I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that you've been in conversation with them, and I'm sure that they'd welcome you on the picket line.
Jacob, let me tell you something. I may go to the picket line, but you're not going to get me to go 5,000 feet into the earth in one of those elevators,
right, into
the bottom to in a coal mine. I don't, I can do a lot of things, but that I don't think I can do. You realize guys that do that are some kind of tough, fearless guys. It's amazing. I've always loved coal miners. My dad loved them, just loved the personalities, and just family is generational. And to lose that generational work, they all act alike. They're big. They look like linebackers. Is an absolute shame, and we got to use the influence that we can to make this problem go away. And I won't sit idly by and let corporate America, BlackRock, any of the rest of them unfairly penalize Alabama citizens. And we'll talk about it publicly, and we'll see what they're made of. See how much pressure those boys can take.
There you go. That sounds good to me. One of the things that intersects with the strike is the state of freedom of speech in this country. Like I said, they have been limited for the entire. I mean, they've been on strike for over a year now, and they've been limited the whole time how many people they could have on the picket line. First it was 11, then it was 5, then it was 6. For a couple months, they were banned totally outright they could not have picket lines. Now, I think by his good graces, that Tuscaloosa County judge has allowed 2 people on the picket line at one time. How do you is that something that the state should be doing? Should be telling people when and where and how they can and can't protest the boss in their state?
What was I was aware of that, but I never really took the time or haven't had the time to read the reasoning that the judge gave. What did he say? What was his purpose, or what was his reason?
The reasoning was because of quote-unquote union violence. And, of course, on a picket line, you're going to have some skirmishes, right? You're going to have some consternation between the scabs who are, bending over for the company, basically. You're going to have some issues there. But the vast majority of the instances cited have been where the scabs have run into the striking miners, and the striking miners turn around and kick the car or turn around and, bust the window after they've been hit. So it seems totally out of proportion to what has happened.
It does. And a limitation like that is absurd on its face. And, as governor, I'm just telling you, I'll get in the middle of it and probably resolve it in an afternoon, because I suspect BlackRock and the corporate side, they don't, whether they want to really get crossed up with the governor in a state where their coal mines are inspected by the state of Alabama and tough questions can be asked. So, I want fairness. I'm not looking to abuse anybody, but I will not allow Alabama citizens to be abused by Wall Street corporate groups. They have every right in the world to buy any asset they want, operate it, but I expect fairness in Alabama.
Some lawmakers in Alabama have tried to further restrict the ability of working folks to speak freely, to protest the state, protest their boss, by trying to pass so-called anti-riot bills that they would, and it didn't pass in the last session, and these bills would obviously, I think they'd be used against folks who are on the picket line. They would enable people to, without being convicted, be held for 24 hours before they're let go, before they can post bail, and they can be convicted according to numerous lawyers, that a properly motivated DA could convict somebody of quote-unquote rioting under the new definition if even if they had not damaged any property or hurt a hair on a single person's head. That seems to me to be again just a vast overreach. How have you felt about the so-called anti-riot bills that have been trying to pass across the country and in this state?
What you're describing would be a First Amendment violation. I think a lot of that stemmed from some of the craziness, some of the Black Lives Matter overkill, some of the junk out west and northwest. But there is a right to assemble peacefully, and if the idea that you could criminalize that is so unconstitutional on its face, I just can't believe that would really get real legs.
So you wouldn't support the anti-riot bills that have been put forward?
No, I don't support anything. I believe in the right to assemble. If you break the law, if you start tearing things up, burning buildings down, painting monuments because you don't like the monument, just tearing up, abusing public property, that's against the law. I'm going to lock you up, put you in jail. But if you are assembling on a picket line or anything else, you have that right. You have that constitutional right. Labor has every right to assemble, every right to strike or not strike, and to be bullied or threatened by some zealous district attorney is unacceptable.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.